What's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL Off-Road. Right now we have two Polaris side-by-sides in our office, and those are the RZR Pro XP Ultimate and the RZR Pro XP4 Premium. We have a 2-seater and a 4-seater, and one that's top of the line with every option, and one that's kind of middle of the road and a little bit less expensive. So what better time than right now to do a complete RZR Pro buyer's guide, since they're right here in front of me. So in this video, I'll walk you through all the differences between the 2-seater and the 4-seater. I'll also walk you through all the differences between the 3 different trim levels available. And at the end of the video, I'll give you all the pricing info and every color available and help you decide which RZR Pro is right for you.
Do you guys love trucks? If so, we've got a new podcast that will keep you entertained for hours, from on-road to off-road, from Raptors to Frontiers to Tacomas. Check out tfltruck.com/podcast or go to wherever you get your favorite podcast, including Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify.
Now, before I go too in-depth in this buyer's guide, I want to just give you a quick overview of where these two machines fall in Polaris's side-by-side lineup. So you start off with their trail and sport sector, which includes some of the lower powered machines and some of the cheaper options. Really, that's a good place to start to get into side-by-sides without breaking the bank. And honestly, a lot of those machines would do just fine out here in Colorado on some of our tighter trails where you're not picking up a lot of speed and most of the things you're doing is crawling over rocks and logs, things of that nature. Then you jump up to their XP line, which stands for Extreme Performance, and that's going to be more of your performance-oriented side-by-side. So taking, jumps in the desert, doing things at a much higher speed, that's what those machines are going to do very well at. Now, these are both part of the Pro line, which is the top of the line from Polaris, and think of that as kind of the second gen of the XP line. So what they did is they kind of built these from the ground up. They made everything a little bit beefier. All the components are a little bit more robust now, so you'll have less of a chance of running into problems or breaking down out in the middle of the desert. And they also changed the design up a little bit. So if you look at the side profile, it has this really nice slick back look to it. The previous XP line had more of a square top to it, and Polaris is trying to match what Can-Am did with their Maverick series, so they just made everything look a little bit more aggressive. Like I said, these are both machines from the Pro lineup, and that's what this video is all about, is breaking down all the different options within Polaris's top-of-the-line side-by-sides. There's essentially 6 different options to choose from when you get into the RZR Pro lineup. You have the choice of 2-door and 4-door, and then within each of those you have 3 different trim levels. You have the base model, then you also have a premium and an ultimate trim as well. So I figured I'd start with the easy stuff, which is what remains constant throughout this entire lineup. All models of the RZR Pro get the same 925cc twin-cylinder turbo 4-stroke motor that produces 181 horsepower. So whether you're getting the budget-oriented base 2-seater or you're going for the Pro XP4 Ultimate package, you're getting the same power, which is really nice to see. All models of the RZR Pro also get the same transmissions, so they all have an automatic PVT, which is Polaris Variable Transmission. It's basically a CVT, that's just what Polaris likes to call it, but it's pretty simple, straight up and down with park, reverse, neutral, and low and high. Out of all the similarities between those two machines, those are the 2 big ones you probably care about the most, but some other things, no matter which machine you get, they're gonna have the same wheels, the same tires. There's a lot of shared components, same ground clearance, same approach and departure angles, since the wheels are all the way at the front and back on both of these machines. But anyway, that's enough of the similarities. Let's get into the differences, because that's really what's going to help you decide which RZR Pro is right for you. I'm going to take you through the differences between the 4-seater and the 2-seater first, and after we're done that, we'll go through what's different between all the different trim levels. So the first obvious thing between the 4-seater and the 2-seater is obviously how many people it holds. So here's the two-seater right here, and just like you expected, two people side by side to go out and enjoy the desert or trail or whatever kind of off-roading you're doing. And then you have the 4-door. This is called the Pro XP4. They add that number 4 in the name just to denote that this is a 4-seater. And it's actually a 4-door. This isn't just a 2-door where you have to pull the front seats up. The rear passengers actually have their own way to get in and out, which is really nice, especially with these harnesses. It would be a huge pain in the butt to make whoever's sitting in the front completely unbuckle just to let someone in or out of the back. So that's pretty nice. And it's also stadium seating, which is the way most side-by-sides are nowadays, at least the 4-seaters. And what that means is the rear seats are raised up much higher than the front seats, which allows the rear passengers to be much more involved in the off-roading experience. And I'll hop in here just to give you an idea of what it looks like from the back seat. Camera's at eye level right now, and you can see that I have a pretty clear view over the driver's seat and out the front window. Definitely not a bad view for being in the back seat of an off-roader. And your decision to get a 2-seater versus the 4-seater might be a pretty simple one. If you're just going by yourself or maybe with one friend, a 2-seater would probably do you just fine. But let's say you have kids and you want to take them with you and they're not old enough to operate one of these yet, might be your only option to get a 4-seater if you want to take the whole family along. So that decision might be kind of an easy one for a lot of people. Now, yes, the main difference between the Pro XP4 and the Pro XP is that the XP4 can hold 4 people, whereas the other one can only hold 2. But there's also some additional cargo features in the Pro XP4. You have fold flat rear storage, and I'll show you how that works. Basically, you have to make sure that the harnesses are unbuckled first, and then you kind of pull them out of the way from the top of these rear seats. Then there's a little latch in the back. You can kind of see it in motion right there as I pull it, but you just pull on that latch and yank forward on the seat. And then the entire back portion of the seat actually just lifts right out. It's just that one latch and the whole thing can be removed. Then your bottom cushion doesn't have any kind of latch, but you just flip that forward. Then you do the same thing on the other side. There's the left side backrest out. Same thing, just flip the bottom portion of the seat over. And now you have a completely flat floor back here where you can load up tons of cargo and really camp out of this and use your Pro XP4 as a 2-seater with lots of cargo room back here. But it's only available in the top 2 trims. So you have to get the premium or the ultimate XP4 to have this feature. The base model doesn't have it, and of course the 2-seater doesn't have it as well. Now I'm at the back of the Pro XP, the 2-seater, and this is what the rear cargo area looks like, which is identical on both the 2-seater and the 4-seater. So this is what they call the lock and ride system. Polaris sells a number of accessories like storage containers and coolers that you can lock into here. They won't go anywhere while you're ripping around off-road. And in both this 2-seater and the 4-seater, this rear storage area has a carrying capacity of 300 pounds. Another noticeable difference between the 4-seater and the 2-seater can be seen on this warning sticker in the back of the cargo area on the Pro XP4. This actually has the breakdowns for both the 2-seater and the 4-seater. And what I want to look at is the payload numbers. You can see on the Pro XP, we have a payload capacity of 740 pounds. On the 4-seater, the XP4, that is a 900-pound payload capacity. So you have a little bit more payload on the 4-seater versus the 2-seater. There's also some interior storage differences between the 2-seater and the 4-seater. So I'm in the 2-seater right now. We have a center storage cubby up top on the dash. We also have a little glove box on the passenger side. 12 volt down here by the shifter, cup holders, and then we also have this little armrest between the 2 seats, which has a little bit of extra storage in it and also a 12 volt. The 4-seater has the same center storage cubby. It has the same passenger side glove box, the same 12 volt power port up by the shifter. You have cup holders in the front seats, but no center armrests with storage. Instead, you have kind of this little net to catch a few things down here if you wanted to. You have a 12 volt for the back passengers as well, but just no center closable storage cubby. Instead, you have a set of rear cup holders and this little net. Now, the last difference between the 2-seater and the 4-seater RZR Pro is the fuel capacity. So this is the fill nozzle right here for the 4-seater. The 4-seater has a 13-gallon tank, whereas the 2-seater over there has a 12-gallon tank. So only 1 gallon difference, and it kind of makes sense. You're going to be able to carry more weight and more people in the 4-seater, so you're going to want a little bit more fuel. Also, just sitting here, the 4-seater is obviously a little bit heavier than the 2-seater. They don't put out any fuel economy numbers, so it's hard to tell what you're going to get in terms of range in these two machines, but just wanted to say that the 4-seater does hold an extra gallon of fuel. Now let's jump into the trim. So just to remind you, that is a Pro XP4 Premium, and that is a Pro XP Ultimate. So that's middle of the road, top of the line. What we're missing here is the base model, but I'll still run you through what the base model is going to look like and everything you're going to get with it. So let's start with this instrument cluster, because this is identical no matter what RZR Pro you get. So we'll turn it on right here. You can see we have a 4-inch LCD screen right there. Right now it's lit up in blue, but you can change that between blue and red. You have speedometer on the left right here, tachometer on the right, and then all your driver information is right here in the center. So there's a couple buttons right here, mode up and down. Right now what it's set to, it's showing the clock, gear indicator over on the left side, fuel gauge over here on the right, as well as a digital speedometer in the middle. So if you press this mode button, it will change that top setting between speedometer, digital tachometer, and also your coolant temperature. So you have 3 settings there. You can also use the scroll arrows right here to go between your odometer. You have trip 1 and trip 2. You also have your battery voltage, engine hours, service interval, engine temperature, and then back to odometer. So every piece of information you need to know is accessible on every machine. This setup does not change between all the different models of RZR Pros. Now I'm sitting inside the RZR Pro XP Ultimate, and like I said, this setup is all the same, but now you have this 7-inch touchscreen in the middle, which Polaris calls Ride Command. So this is a very bright, very colorful, glove-compatible touchscreen, and it gives you a lot of information here that you don't get in the other models. So you only get this Ride Command screen with the Ultimate top-of-the-line package in either the 2-seater or the 4-seater. But once you're in here, you have a few different options. First of all, you can look at a digital selection of gauges here. So it's going to give you a lot of the same information you can find over here, but on a brighter, more colorful display that everybody in the vehicle can see. And you also have the ability to monitor your active suspension. It's what Polaris calls Dynamics 2.0. I'll go into that a little bit further in a minute, but that whole control system is right here. You're able to monitor exactly what the vehicle's doing in terms of suspension, your G-force, everything like that. You also, of course, have a front and rear camera, which actually I believe is just a rear camera on this vehicle. After playing around with this system, I figured out that this vehicle doesn't actually have a front camera, so I can go into all settings, go into the camera section, and turn the front camera to no. Now when I go back to gauges and go into the front and rear camera option, it doesn't even give me the option to switch to the front camera. It just shows the rear, which is how this should be set up. If you hit the Polaris button in the center, it brings up all your other options. So you do have a map. This has GPS, so you can track what lines you're taking if you're out in the middle of the desert and know exactly where you are in relation to where you started from, which is a nice feature. So pretty basic GPS. You can add waypoints, track your rides, stuff like that. You also have phone connectivity, so you can connect to your phone. There you can see a couple other Bluetooth devices paired up to this. Listen to music, so it has radio. You can see you can change the source here between FM, AM, weather radio, also Bluetooth or a USB connection. So this is pretty much like an infotainment screen that you would find in a car. And since you don't get the 7-inch Ride Command screen on the Ultimate or base model, you just have this RZR branded plastic piece that takes its place. You also have an antenna to go with the radio system on the Ultimate package. whereas that area is just blank on the lower two trims. And because the Ultimate package does give you the ability to listen to music, you need speakers. So you get a Rockford Fosgate audio system. You can see one of the speakers here. There's another one over there on the passenger side. There's also these tweeters up front, but over on the lower trim, which is the premium, and also on the base model, these are kind of just fake mesh vents, both up front as well as kind of up top where the tweeters would be. These are also just fake vents. No backup camera on the premium or base model. Instead, you just get a wide open hole, which I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, come on, Polaris, how hard would it have been to just put a little plastic plug there? Lighting also changes between the different trims. So these actually have the same lighting package. That's the premium, that's the Ultimate, and those two trims get the same lights. If you were to get the base model, you would just get standard headlights with a high and low beam function and tail lights with a brake light function, obviously. These are just the accent lights, and that's what's special about the premium and the Ultimate. You don't get these accent lights on the base model, so that would include this running light right here, the two that kind of angle around the front headlights, and then if you jump to the rear, it's just this little piece right here. So that would be the same on the base model, but you do get a couple extra accent lights on the premium and Ultimate packages on both the 2-seater and the 4-seater. The seats are the same in all of the RZR Pro models. They have pretty heavy bolstering and they're well padded. Not bad seats for this kind of vehicle. But what does change across the trim levels is the kind of seat belts you get. So both of these side-by-sides, the premium and the Ultimate, both get the harnesses. So they're gonna go over both your shoulders and clip in through the center right here. Very robust seatbelt system, but if you go for the base model, they're going to be more of a standard seatbelt that you would find in a regular car. Here's a look at the steering wheel in the premium. This is the same steering wheel you would find in the base model. So you get the flat bottom, you also get much wider sides, so it's really easy to hold on to. You also have a lever down here to adjust the tilt of the steering wheel, but on this premium model, you also have a telescoping steering wheel, and it takes a little bit of force to do it, but I can kind of do it with one hand and show you. So you do get that in and out motion on the premium model, but you don't have any controls on the steering wheel on the base or the premium. Now inside the Ultimate, you have the same shaped steering wheel, and just like the premium over there, this is a telescoping steering wheel as well. But when you step up to the top of the line model in this Ultimate, you get controls on your steering wheel. So over on the left side, you have some media controls to go with that ride command screen, and you also have 2 arrows to kind of scroll through the menu system, and this button is really cool. The big red X, that's kind of your oh crap button. If you end up taking a jump with too much speed, you end up too high in the air, whatever it is, if you get into a tricky situation and you end up airborne, you press that, it will set the live valve suspension to its stiffest setting. That way, when you come back down, all that energy can be absorbed and you don't end up smacking your face into the steering wheel. So really cool feature there. It's really easy to access. It's the big red button. It's in the right spot. So that is a very cool feature that you only get on the Ultimate package. Suspension changes a lot as you move through the different trims. So this premium has the same suspension setup that the base model gets, which up front is a 2-inch Walker Evans Racing shock with a 16-position adjustable clicker. So up here you have a knob that you can turn to either make the whole system stiffer or softer. And in the rear, you get a 2.5-inch Walker Evans Racing suspension, again, with a 16-position adjustable clicker up top. With the Ultimate package on both the 2-seater and the 4-seater, you move from a Walker Evans Racing suspension to the Fox live valve suspension, and you get 2.5-inch shocks both up front and in the rear. These are live valve shocks, so you don't have any manual adjustability on here. Everything is done through Polaris's Dynamics 2.0 system, which is constantly monitoring what the vehicle is doing. It makes many adjustments every single second to make for the best off-road experience in terms of suspension. So nothing you have to dial in outside of the vehicle. Everything's done through the computer. This is a really cool and really advanced system. So there's all the physical differences between the RZR Pro XP and the Pro XP4 in the base, premium, and ultimate trims. Now let's jump on the computer, take a look at pricing, and look at the color options of all these different machines. As far as colors go, the options are the same between the Pro XP and the Pro XP4, but they do change as you go through the trims. The base model has two color options: Cruiser Black, which is all black, and Black Lime, which is mostly black with some green accents. The premium and ultimate trims share the same three color options. You have Cruiser Black, which weirdly enough is a different color scheme than the Cruiser Black on the base model. It's black with some red accents. There's also Indy Red, which is what we have in the 2-seater, and White Lightning, which is what our 4-seater has. Now for pricing, on the low end you have the RZR Pro XP, the 2-seater, which has an MSRP of $22,999, and you can move all the way up to the Pro XP4 Ultimate, which has an MSRP of $32,299. There's a ton of different accessories offered by Polaris that you can add to these machines, and Polaris has 4 different accessory packages that you can add to either the premium or ultimate trims. You can still add accessories to the base model, but these preset packages are only available on the top 2 trims. The 4 packages are the Desert, Dunes, Mountain, and Trail collections, and they include things like extra protection, cargo boxes, winches, tires, and wheels. Polaris really has a massive parts catalog, so you'll have to go on their website and build one yourself to see everything that's available and figure out what you're going to need based on what kind of terrain you're hitting. Here's a look at the pricing for those 4 packages, which does change depending on which model RZR you get. You can see the prices lower on the ultimate trim for some of these packages because some of the features you get with those packages already come standard on the ultimate. So there you have it, guys. There's all the differences between the RZR Pro XP and the RZR Pro XP4, the 2-seater and the 4-seater, in the base, premium, and ultimate trims. I hope this was helpful if you're in the market for one of these machines, but let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions. We'll definitely be taking both of these off-road in Colorado throughout this summer, so stay tuned for some of that off-road coverage. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to go back to TFLoffroad.com for more news, views, and real-world reviews, and let us know if you like these kinds of buyer's guides. We hope to be doing some more of them in the future. See you guys.